She was less than 2 miles away, based on a real documented case. In July of 2013, a 66-year-old woman named Geraldine Jerry Largay was hiking a section of the Appalachian Trail in western Maine. This wasn't a reckless trip. Jerry had already completed most of the Appalachian Trail over several years. She wasn't chasing records or pushing limits. She planned methodically, walked at her own pace, and treated the trail with respect. She carried maps. She carried food. She carried a cell phone to text her husband whenever she had service. This section of the trail was supposed to be challenging but manageable. Remote, yes, but not unfamiliar. On the morning of July 22nd, Jerry left the Poplar Ridge lean-to, planning to hike to the next shelter before nightfall. The weather was warm, clear and calm. There was nothing about the day that suggested danger. A few hours into her hike, Jerry stopped at a trail junction. She needed to use the bathroom. Like most hikers, she stepped a short distance off the trail, far enough for privacy but close enough that she believed she could easily find her way back. This is where everything changed. When she finished and turned around, the trail wasn't where she expected it to be. At first, she wasn't alarmed. Trails shift slightly. The forest can look different from a new angle. She assumed she'd just walked farther than she thought. She began moving slowly, scanning the ground for blazes, white paint marks on trees that identify the Appalachian Trail. She didn't see any. She walked a little farther. Still nothing. At that point, Jerry did exactly what hikers are taught to do. She stopped. She listened. She tried to retrace her steps. But the forest in this part of Maine is dense. Thick trees, uneven ground, and undergrowth that looks the same in every direction. There are no sweeping views. No landmarks, no obvious wrong way. After several hours of searching in widening circles, Jerry made a critical assumption. She believed she must be close to the trail. And so she made the decision to keep moving. She chose a direction and walked. That decision, made calmly, logically, and without panic, was the one that sealed her fate. Instead of intersecting the trail, Jerry unknowingly moved deeper into a maze of forest that offered no natural guides. As the afternoon wore on, she realized she was truly lost. Her phone showed no signal. She was tired, and daylight was fading. Rather than risk injury by continuing in the dark, Jerry made another reasonable decision. She stopped, she set up camp, she ate sparingly and conserved energy. That night, she slept alone in the woods, believing she would find her way back in the morning. The next day, Jerry began texting her husband whenever her phone briefly connected to a network. Some messages went through, others didn't. She told him she was lost but calm. She believed she was close to the trail. She reassured him that she had shelter, food, and water. Her husband contacted authorities immediately. Within hours, a large-scale search effort began. Maine Warden's search and rescue teams, volunteers, and later helicopters were deployed. Searchers combed the trail itself, the surrounding woods, and known off-trail areas. They called her name, they blew whistles. Dogs tracked scents along the trail. At one point, searchers passed within a mile of where Jerry had unknowingly set up her camp. But the forest absorbed sound, and Jerry, who had begun conserving her energy, never heard them. Over the next several days, her text messages continued sporadically. They grew shorter, less confident. At one point, she texted that she was waiting for help. Then the messages stopped entirely. Search teams expanded the search radius. Days turned into weeks. Eventually, the active search was suspended. Jerry was officially listed as missing. 2 years later, in October of 2015, a forestry worker noticed something unusual deep in the woods, far from the main trail but still within a walkable distance. A collapsed tent. Inside were human remains. It was Jerry. Investigators found her personal belongings neatly arranged nearby. Her journal was recovered. What it revealed was devastating. Jerry had survived for nearly 4 weeks after becoming lost. She rationed her food carefully. She documented her thoughts. She wrote messages to her husband and children, apologizing, and expressing hope that she would still be found. One entry mentioned that she could hear helicopters but couldn't see them. Another said she was staying put, believing rescuers would eventually reach her. The final entries showed her strength fading. She had stopped trying to move. Experts later concluded that Jerry was less than 2 miles from the Appalachian Trail when she died. 2 miles. In open terrain, that's less than an hour of walking. But in dense wilderness, without landmarks, without strength, and without direction, it became an impossible distance. Search and rescue professionals later stated that if Jerry had stayed exactly where she first realized she was lost, and made herself visible, she almost certainly would have been found. Instead, a series of small, understandable decisions compounded, and the wilderness never corrected them.